Hi everybody, welcome to the new week. Can't believe, the weeks are rolling by. It's going to be almost autumn before we can blink. But that, I guess, is you remember when you were young and the time used to drag? The older you get, the time flies. Which means I think we should be making more use of it, Making more use of it. Pete, what do you think?
I think you're right.
I'm Jeremy Cordo. Peter Clayton is behind the camera. Welcome to the garage and the court of public opinion. It's been a busy time, I must admit, over the last little while. Lots of response from you, and I thank you for that. February the 20th, 2022, Britain's beautiful Queen, 95 years old at the time, 2022, she tests positive for COVID-19. That was one tough lady. I don't know to what that contributed to her death, but it wouldn't be something that a 96-year-old would take lightly, would it? John Glenn becomes the first American to orbit the Earth aboard Friendship 7. He also was the person who was the oldest person to go into space. Many, many decades later. But he went up there first in '62. What else can I tell you? Batman and Robin comics premiered in newspapers in 1944. Batman and Robin. Gail Gordon. His real name was Charles Thomas Aldrich, Jr. American actor, comedian. Our Miss Brooks. Dennis the Menace, The Lucy Show, Here's Lucy, born in Los Angeles, California, 1906, and he died on this day in 1995. Gail Gordon. The first automobile aeroplane combination was tested in Santa Monica, California on this day, believe it or not, in 1937. They keep trying to do that, don't they? Wasn't it the Jetsons who said that we would be flying in cars? I just don't think that could be a lot of fun, really. I like the old-fashioned idea of a car. Earl Mountbatten of Burma appointed the last Viceroy of India to oversee the move to independence, 1947. In the 1940s and 50s and 60s, this great push to give independence to all of these countries that these people had gone out and colonized. And most of them are a shambles today. But it's their country. I'm not quibbling, it's their country. Sidney Poitier, American actor, first black actor to win an Oscar. It was Lilies of the Field, or Lilies in the Field, that was '63. To Serve with Love, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. He was an actor, civil rights advocate, and a diplomat as well. Had a great life. Born in 1927. Dick York, the American actor, Inherit the Wind, dies of emphysema in '63. He was the guy in Bewitched. For the life of me, I know Elizabeth Montgomery was the actress, but I can't remember the name of the director who was married to Elizabeth Montgomery, who insisted that the leading man in the show would not be attractive. His little insurance policy. The guy's insecure. Anyway, doesn't matter. They've all gone to God now, I would think. John Cleese, 1968, marries actress Connie Booth out of Fawlty Towers. I saw a thing the other day where the BBC want him to go back and remake Fawlty Towers. They only made, I think, 11 episodes. But he refused to do it. Do you know why? He said blatantly, and it was reported, "You're too woke. You would not let us be funny like that ever again, would you? What would you do? You'd sanitize the scripts." Well, he was perfectly right in that. Perfectly right. American singer and actress Cher, 27, files for separation from singer-songwriter husband Sonny Bono. He was 38, she was 27. But I saw the other day too that she is now in her 70s, her boyfriend is 26. Okay, I've got no problem with that. Gloria Vanderbilt, the American fashion designer, artist, heiress, socialite, born in Manhattan in 1924. She dies in 2019. A 4-inch lock of John Lennon's hair sells for $35,000. Pete?
Yeah, I might cut some off. And
we should keep growing. We should. Golly, $35,000 to a memorabilia collector at an auction in Dallas, Texas, on this day in 2016. Golly, Alexander Haig, the American general, 59th Secretary of State of the United States. He dies in 2010. And if you remember the day for any reason at all, I hope it's for a good reason, and it's going to be a happy day. I found a new word the other day, which I rather liked. Dyscalculia. Dyscalculia. Have you ever heard of dyscalculia? Dyscalculia is the mathematical equivalent to dyslexia. Now I know I'm dyslexic because I see words backwards and forwards all the time, but I didn't know that there was a mathematical equivalent. Dyscalculia. We should do something on things you didn't know that you didn't know, because it is amazing what we come across that we don't know. McDonald's announce McPlant McNuggets. McPlant McNuggets? It's a crazy drive to stop people eating meat because the cows burp and fart methane. You'd be much better occupied, if you want to stop methane, filling up the marshlands and the wetlands. They've become really fashionable because they produce 50% of the worst greenhouse gas in the world, which is methane. Go figure. No one ever mentions that, does he? Nope. Raquel Welch has left us at the age of 82. Did you like Pete?
oh, I've been in love with her all my life.
Yeah. It was Raquel Welch. Yes, she was a sex symbol, but different sort of sex symbol. Born in Chicago in 1940, so she's 5 years older than me. Certainly made her mark. I mean, even if she didn't have that fur bikini, I mean, she'd still make her mark. 30 movies, appeared in 50 television shows, started her own production company at one stage, Beauty and Brains. Ladies and gentlemen, wonderful. Lady Kazan, and I never hear anything about Lady Kazan these days, but she came along a little bit after that, and she had the same sort of fiery sexuality about her. Lady Kazan. She was a singer, I think, but did some acting as well. We're surrounded by interesting people, Pete. Now this is really interesting. I hope I had the presence of mind to bring it down with me. Yes, I did. Thank God. We're in the garage, so you'd have to excuse me while I run up the stairs and get it. But thank you very much for sending this to me, Michelle Diana. You know, Michelle, you're spot on. Because talking about the voice to Parliament and the thing I was talking to you about the other day, about the Australia Day fiasco, the date I mean. Hardly anyone, Diane or Michelle Diana points out, hardly anyone has ever read the Constitution. Lots of people talk about it, have an opinion on it, but most have never seen it, let alone read it. A copy of the Australian Constitution, well, not to read it, not a sin for us. But if you are the government or the opposition or an activist seeking to change the world, you would at least pick up a copy of the bloody thing and read it. Let me read verbatim what this young lady says, Michelle. The voice is already in our Constitution. This is a bit like what I was saying to you the other day about Australia Day. It's there for us to find. We just have to go and look for it and not let these people lead us around by their philosophical nose. The voice is already there in the Constitution. The power to legislate on the grounds of race. Section 51, 511. The power of the Commonwealth Parliament to legislate on the grounds of race presents a complex constitutional problem. Section 51, 511, enables the Commonwealth to make laws for peace, order and good government of the Commonwealth with respect to the people of any race for whom it is deemed necessary to make special laws. It's there already. And we're about to spend $100 million of taxpayer money on a referendum to get authority, public opinion, to do what we've already done, or our forefathers already did. Now I want to come to something which is really important. Don't cut me off, Pete.
Okay.
One of the important things that the Court of Public Opinion can do is bring you topics and subjects that other media and politicians choose to ignore, a bit like Australia Day. They are either ignorant of or part of the evil themselves, perpetrators. Could be. What I want to talk to you about is female genital mutilation. The first time I talked about it was back when I was doing an afternoon radio program at 2GB in Sydney. It was about 1974. Female genital mutilation. A lot of people prefer to call it FGM. It's less confronting. Female genital mutilation is what it is, and we shouldn't gild the lily. It would seem people find it difficult to believe or to confront, let alone to stop the practice. At 2GB, I remember I was allowed a great deal of latitude, which of course any great talk station would. It would do that instinctively. But this was the 70s, and I remember the manager, Perce Campbell, said to me, in all the years at 2GB we've been producing talk radio, he couldn't remember the subject ever coming up before, and questioned me closely on what I'd been saying. You see, I think it's because basically the practice is so unspeakable. Some people might translate that into meaning, don't speak about it. It's very hard to believe that in a civilized world there would be any community who would tolerate, let alone accept, such a practice. But believe me, there are many. Mostly African countries, part of India, who are allowed to migrate to Australia and bring this appalling ritual with them. Basically, what it is is, and I will say all of this because I think it's important context. Basically what it is the removal or the mutilating of the female clitoris and the external female genitalia. Do you believe that? The only purpose of this could be the misogynist desire to prevent women from experiencing any kind of sexual pleasure. The practice among these awful, ignorant people, as they say, is to prevent, well, they first say it's cultural, but it is to prevent promiscuity and adultery. They don't, of course, talk about the many other medical complications that can destroy a woman's life and health because of this operation, which I call sexual assault with a knife, perpetrated on female babies and little girls, usually without anaesthetic, and usually in the most unhygienic of circumstances. It's appalling. I mean, let's call it out for what it is. It is appalling. It seems to me that all the countries who tolerate and practice female genital mutilation are Islamic. But there is no mention of this awful business in the Quran. No teachings. I've spoken to muftis and imams, and they say simply, it's cultural. Cultural, for God's sake. They don't condemn it. They don't forbid it. They don't preach against it. I find it amazing that we can have movements such as climate change. Closing down factories, putting people out of work, sending communities bankrupt. We can have huge government-sponsored push for something like an Aboriginal voice to Parliament when they already have one. And we're happy to spend $100 million to try and get public support for that. Yet we do not have any public condemnation of this barbaric, inhumane, misogynist violation of innocent little girls. Nothing. We will just look the other way. We will look the other way. And the biggest villain, apart from the politicians, of course, is the media. I've even heard people say, oh, we can't possibly interfere with these deeply held views, cultural practices, and community values of other societies just because we don't understand. Do you believe this? We don't understand. You see, Jeremy, it's none of our business. This is true. All of this is absolutely true. It's appalling. Hard to believe, I know. It took until March 2016 for anyone to be arrested and charged with this appalling crime. It is illegal. Yet Western Sydney is rife with the practice. It seems to be confined to the Muslim Indian, West African communities who can't or won't leave it behind when they migrate. Surely it would be possible for the Australian authorities to make it a condition of entry into Australia, let alone citizenship, that these communities denounce the practice of female genital mutilation. And we make it a law that doctors and teachers have to report any evidence of the practice. There are plenty of suspicions, believe me. A public awareness campaign wouldn't cost a lot, really. Social workers, police, teachers should be made aware of just how big the problem is. We are one of 30 countries in the world where this business is practiced. Hard to believe, 200 million, think about it, 200 million little girls are attacked in this way every year, and it would seem nobody gives a damn. Wouldn't you think there would be a huge national, if not global, movement, particularly among women, particularly activist women, to stop this once and for all? I'm sorry to put something as confronting as this before you in the court of public opinion, but quite frankly, that's what we're here to do, because there is no other media that is prepared to look you in the eye and talk about stuff like this. That is a shame. Media is pretty big and it's pretty powerful, but it's also pretty selective. And at times, ladies and gentlemen, may I tell you, pretty stupid. It's up to us to pick our way through it. Thank you so much for viewing the Court of Public Opinion. Believe in yourself. We'll talk tomorrow. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux with Peter Clayton. Have a great day.